All right, so we're back here once again here on Couch Coach Live under the lights. Here, what's going on, Maui?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Just same old man. Just working, grinding, man. That's all.
So you still doing big things?
Trying to.
What else is
Yeah,
new, man? Like, what's up with your Clippers, bro?
man. It's like I said it. I said this was a bad trade. It's like if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And you got rid of your bigs in a sense where guarding your
Right.
threes and guarding your fours, and it's just like we we knew this was going to happen, so I don't understand why they even did that trade. Like we talked about it 2 weeks ago, it was like it didn't make any sense whatsoever to do that because
Mm-hmm.
you get rid of guys like Batum, and that's like Charles Barkley said it best last night. You get rid of Batum and Robert Covington, even though they're identical, but they can guard guys like AD, they can Joker, Michael Porter Jr., those like the bigs. Who you gonna have?
Mm-hmm.
Zubac. That's the only person who's really gonna be able to defend that. And and you hopefully when Mason Plumlee come back, or I forget which one of the Plumlee brothers played for the Clippers, but I don't know which one. But those are only two guys that can defend. Like
Well,
your fours and fives.
I just think that is and I think I'm bringing this up, man. I know we're gonna talk about some things earlier. I just feel like I ain't talking about their money, but they professional and they stars. They supposed to figure out a way to mash together to be able to play, and it shouldn't be no one person. Well, I always got to need the ball in my hands and this and that. Like you got man, y'all over vets. Like y'all professional veterans now. Y'all got MVPs, playoffs. You got it's no excuse. Y'all should be able to figure it out.
Like they always say, you can't teach a dog new tricks.
But
They
that's the
set their
thing though.
ways.
We play basketball. We all play basketball. And a lot of times when you go play basketball at a court, you have all these different players, right? You don't even know who these people are. And you might make a nice run. You might win 4, 6, 5, 6 games. So to me, I just feel like it's no excuse. Y'all don't need that team right there. They got playoff experience. There's nothing there. They all should be. That should be their team alone. Should be the ones that we should be saying be looking to win a championship. There's nothing else that they need. They got money. They got everything they want.
But that's the thing. That's the thing about them. That's the problem. When it comes to that, that's where the entitlement comes from, in a sense.
Right.
So it's one of those where, yeah, on paper, it would be a good team, but it doesn't work on the court, and we've seen that in OKC. Well, even I would say, but they were younger. But when they, with Russ
Making it
and James
worse.
Harden was there, was in
you
Houston.
right, you
That's
making
what
it
I'm
worse
saying. But
because
that's
they
what I'm saying.
started in OKC. Right.
Right, right, and that's where it's like, even if they did this almost 12 years ago,
Right.
you definitely think they're not gonna change their ways now. They've been now established. They're on their, you
I
know,
was. I was. Right.
it'd have been like easy for them 12 years ago to get this together. But and they had a good run, but then obviously it broke it up. But you look at just like what James Harden has been in the last three stops: Houston fiasco, Brooklyn, Philly. It's all has gone to crap, and it's just like
Right.
the Clippers like the last team standing that will even give him an opportunity like that. So it happens. It's gonna happen.
Right. Right.
It's just it's what it is, unfortunately. But
Right.
yeah. So we got a great show lined up for you tonight. So we'll talk about the brawl last night between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors. We'll look at the fight from one angle, give our thoughts on it, and then as far as what would be the recourse for Draymond Green, we'll talk about that. Jim Harbaugh, his 3-game suspension by his conference, the Big Ten. We'll talk about that, and we'll tackle sports and mental health, as we'll talk about the situation that's going on in Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. We'll talk about our games to watch this week, our picks. So we got a great show lined up for you. So what we're gonna do, we'll keep the intro and we'll be right back here on Couch Coach Live.
You.
And shout out to Big Kirko. Like we talked about 2 weeks ago, successful surgery. Still doing his thing. I think he volunteered somewhere the other night. It's even in this walking boot, he's still doing his thing. But definitely huge shout out to Big Kirko and get well. But we're here. So let's talk about that's funny. I want to talk about this in-season tournament. So this was the first official Tuesday of it, and for some bizarre reason, we had some interesting things happen. So obviously, there was a few little scuffles. I know the Lakers had one. Anthony Davis had one in the game. It was OKC and San Antonio had a scuffle. Jeremy Showen and Chet Holmgren kind of got a little physical last night. But I think all this stuff is happening, and then we had the brawl of all brawls. We had the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors pretty much like less than like a minute or two in the game. It was a brawl. So what we're gonna do, we'll show the video here of one angle of the fight. So before we show that video, fair use. So we'll get that queued up. All right, let me play this.
He's going out of here, and then all of a sudden Gobert comes in, and Draymond's like, "Oh no! Yeah, it's chill out. And then Draymond, he headlocked Gobert there, so yeah, they're trying to doing his best to hold his ground.
All right, so what was your thoughts on Rudy Gobert? Well, this whole brawl, your thoughts on it, and then as far as the repercussions, as far as what Draymond. What do you envision if Draymond will get suspended, and then if you think he will be, how many games you think he's gonna get?
Like I told you, I was watching the podcast earlier, and somebody said 10 games, and he was like, "Damn, like what I mean? That's a lot." But man, look, it's so weird because you're judging something that is split second. So, like some people say, Rudy shouldn't have touched. He should have went after his teammate, right? And then some people say that he was just trying to break it up. You know what I mean? They said a lot of people say they didn't have a problem with Draymond because Draymond thought he was going to he was touching his player, his teammate, and a lot of people said the excessive, with the under the chin choking, and he was dragging him away. That's the excessive part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's entertaining, of course, but at the same time, I want to see competition. So bottom line, the Warriors are not good without those three players. Without Steph, Clay, or Draymond. They just not good. You know what I mean? So I hate to see anybody get suspended, but Draymond is who Draymond is. That's what he do. He protect his the Smash Brothers. That's what he do. And a lot of times, that's why they ball the way they, honestly, to be honest with you, a lot of times when he does that, they ball out of control. You know what I mean? And also, I'm going to say this. Every year since the Warriors have been on a championship run, something like this happens. Every year. And I think to me, it's something almost like testing a young team. Definitely with Sacramento last year. Definitely with Boston. Hell, when they went up against Memphis, because I felt like Memphis had their number. There's always some incident that something like this happens. Now, that's part of Draymond's game. I'm not knocking it, but entertaining, especially great for the in-season tournament. And I'm thinking probably 10 games. But I think there's something there that I heard today from a detail standpoint that needs to be taught. Just like, when they start changing the defense in NFL and they was like, you can't tackle like this, you can't hit like this. So now you see more players trying to basically tackle towards where the ball is. So it's more strips and fumbles. I think something like this, it needs to be taught what you can and cannot do. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of players that is needed to be on a team.
Yeah. I thought in this thing about it, to me, it was excessive. In my personal opinion, it was excessive. I think it's one of those where I think the infraction, in my personal opinion, was they kept dragging Rudy across the court. I think that was the thing that kind of had me like, dude, you got him in a chokehold, 2-3 seconds, get off him.
Right.
You can't be carrying them around, and then it's just to a point where you got cascade of Timberwolves coaching staff all over the place, just trying to get that situation handled.
Right.
It's just it was too much, in my personal opinion.
It was
for Draymond to do. So, and I understand, yeah, you're trying to protect this, that, and the third.
Right.
But my thing is, you just can't carry that. You literally, you had him in a chokehold for probably about 30, 40 some feet on that court, half the court damn near. So, and Draymond has had this reputation of doing this. Obviously, you look at even in the last couple days, couple weeks. He had a situation with Ant the other day. I guess I forgot what day it was. It was some day late last week. Yeah, so it did. Obviously, Ant didn't pay no mind. Ant just balled out and just made him look foolish. Then the situation with Donovan Mitchell, which is weird because you'll never really see Donovan Mitchell being a confrontational person. So for him to have that, so it's kind of one of the things where it just shows you he's had a reputation, and we talk about really this season as far as reputation is concerned. But I can see the league spending him for about 5 to 10 games. Mm-hmm. I can see that happening. At least somewhat just kind of give a statement.
Right.
Establish a statement, because like it's one of the things. It's like, dude, you can protect a teammate, but you took it too far. And I think that's my big issue with it. Right. And that's the thing. You have to establish. You have to establish that. You have to establish the fact that, hey, it's cool that you can protect your teammate, but you took it way too far. I mean, just like if you literally you brought a gun to a knife fight, and it wasn't needed.
Right.
So it's just like, dude. So that's my thing. I think it's going to be 6. I'm not say 6. I say 5 games. I think it makes sense to suspend them for 5 games.
Right. So when you think the Warriors is going to start, hey man, you know what I mean? Like, we trying to keep y'all together, but you keep doing this. I mean, honestly, I don't think they're going to do anything. I think that's part of the game. I hate to say that, but that's what he does,
Yeah. And like going back to the point earlier when we talked about the Clippers and the personnel with them, James Harden, Draymond ain't gonna change the game at this point in his career. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right.
And that's just gonna be his reputation if he's still Golden State, or whenever he leaves.
Right.
When he leaves Golden State, he's gonna have that reputation, and it's probably as he progresses and gets older and most of his skills that he have on the court now diminish, you're probably gonna see more of this type of behavior. As kind of his way to kind of be like, yeah, I'm the heat check guy. I'm the one. I'm the junkyard dog of the team. So I'm I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be in your face, almost like a Dennis Rodman, like in a sense, more so in the '90s Bulls sense, but like in Golden State in that kind of role where he'd be the agitator.
Right. So Rudy Gobert, like what I watched today, they were talking about stuff that happens in the locker room, and Rudy has had a lot of things happen to him where people don't respect him. And I ain't saying he gotta put his hands or give. I think even what's my man's name? That's the power forward for that team, for the Timberwolves.
Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah, even him. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they gotta get like some type of a mean streak or something, because a lot of teams, even though they could just perform and play off of it, but they were really talking about how in the locker rooms, if Rudy has to get some type of respect in the locker room, because they said you could try to be the vet and talk to some young players and they're gonna throw it in your face what Draymond did. Then so when I heard that, I go back and look at Poole, right? And the issue that he just had with the Wizards, and I said, I wonder if the same thing is where they ain't got no respect for him because of what Draymond did. It sounds like, on surface, it sounds like, why should he have to do? It's wrong to do that, but you got to get your respect somehow. You know what I mean? So I just Rudy's a big guy. So I just feel like they threw some names out there too about some real muscular big guys that was kind of getting chumped all the time. So I like wonder Rudy might need to like you said, it's hard for people to change their game.
Yeah, it's too late. It's too late for him to change that because he has that reputation, and then just the whole thing. And, people still mad about the whole COVID thing. Real talk, like people
I
still
just
mad
heard
about
that
that.
a couple of days ago.
Yeah, people right because that's why like you look at like half NBA Twitter like they like as far as they look at it from okay, well it's Rudy Gobert, he deserves it versus the actual infraction and what it because it could have been Jane Doe versus John Doe.
Right.
It's still wrong. But then it's like, oh wait, you did this to Rudy Gobert? I mean, I can understand that because he he's a jerk and he this that, and the third. And so it's but yeah, I know they're probably gonna put a suspension probably by the time if you listen to this after the show, the suspension probably be handed because I think they got a game tomorrow, so they're probably gonna make a decision probably tomorrow, Thursday or so. But yeah, man,
you think that's bringing
crazy.
Draymond's value down?
Not really. I mean, dude, he's. I mean, let's be real. He didn't kick people in the family jewels. Like the chokehold is bad, but that just show you like how this man he got suspended for a game in the NBA Finals because he kicked LeBron James in another region.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you because you literally cost them a championship, in my personal opinion. Right. So to me, whatever he do at this point, I don't think he got to get as worse as what he did in 2016.
Right.
In my personal opinion, I mean, he could probably do some foul stuff, but I mean, costing your team a championship, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, man, it is crazy. So we gotta talk about Jim Harbaugh, the Michigan head coach, and very interesting. So with it being so complex, so we're gonna queue up another video. Mm-hmm. This one, this is a news report from Friday, so I know they're gonna mention the game against Maryland, against Penn State, which has already happened. But this is more so of just to get essentially the full gist of the story because it's really complex in its nature. So what we're gonna do, we'll roll this video real quick, and also before we do it, we definitely want to fair use. This is more so just for fair use purposes. So we're gonna queue up that video momentarily. All right, so we're gonna play that video right now.
Following tonight, Michigan football's Jim Harbaugh, one of the highest profile and highest paid coaches in the sport, has been banned from the sidelines by the Big Ten for the rest of the regular season. The punishment is a result of a cheating scandal that has shaken the college football world. CBS's Errol Barnett has more on the suspension.
Boy, this Michigan offense hard to stop right now.
Jim Harbaugh tonight has been benched by the Big Ten, banning the Michigan head coach for the team's last 3 games, including Saturday's pivotal head-to-head against Penn State. The suspension comes after a former Michigan staffer allegedly ran an in-person scouting operation where he sent friends to steal opponents' play-calling signals ahead of game. Do you think this merely amounts to a slap on the wrist?
It's a slap on the wrist, and it's more of a public consumption. It's embarrassing to Michigan.
The conference says it was a violation of bylaws which prohibit off-campus in-person scouting of future opponents, as well as unsportsmanlike or unethical conduct. Harbaugh's punishment prevents him from being on the sidelines of games, but he can participate in activities. Michigan, which is ranked 3rd in the college playoffs, is undefeated, with hopes of winning a national championship. Harbaugh is a former quarterback at Michigan and one of the highest paid coaches in the conference, earning nearly $7 million a year. He spent years as an NFL coach before joining the Wolverines in 2015.
If Michigan were to win a national championship, there should be a bit asterisk.
All right, so we'll have that one. So, fair use on that one. So, your thoughts on this Jim Harbaugh suspension? Your thoughts on it?
So, have they really found evidence that he had something to do with it and he knew that fact what his friends were doing?
Not okay. I'm gonna put it this way: not concrete, not a smoking gun.
Okay.
Per se,
so
it's more. I think, it ain't 100%. It ain't set in stone.
I believe they did this because if they do a true investigation, they're gonna find out more stuff. So they need to, because I thought about that. I watched something today and somebody brought up steroids when they did that article, and then they found out, damn near the whole Major League Baseball had something to do with it. So I think that because of it was put out there, they needed to do something. And I think some people are upset of the timing of it. Maybe they should have been able to move forward and play. And then some people said that, and I guess you're asking how I feel. I believe what he did, a lot of them are doing. And I think the system is flawed. So it's hard for me to have a true take on it. But to me, if anybody is being accused of something like that, I think that he should. I think maybe the coach need to go. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. I feel like you. I don't know. Should you penalize the children? It's very. I don't know, man. Like it's messy. It's extremely messy to me. So it's hard for me to have a take on it. I was really excited that you're gonna be able to speak on it because you coach.
To me, and almost to your point, I think the Big Ten jumped the gun on this, in my personal opinion, because I think, in my personal opinion, and I think they want to do this to kind of get ahead of it. So it's kind of where if something come down the line, hey, we've already have already did somewhat of the suspension. Because I'm curious if Michigan makes it to the college football playoff, will this suspend? Before it go back, I go a little bit back. I go a little bit back.
Right.
But even if Michigan makes it to the Big Ten championship, is Harbaugh allowed to play? And is he allowed? I mean, to play, but I mean the coach. Is he allowed to coach during potentially what you're thinking about a national semifinal game, and then if they were to win that semifinal game, then that's championship? So is he gonna be able to potentially coach the final 3 games of this season after this 3-game suspension? I'm curious about that. And I think that's their way of kind of getting ahead of it. But to me, I think it's gonna be one of those things where it's just like you said, you're opening up Pandora's box because Michigan, if this is true, I guarantee you, without anything all my worldly possessions, the other college football teams are doing this as well. Like this is, but it's such an antiquated system because it's like I don't understand why these guys can't have communications via headsets like they do in the National Football League. I mean, we just got a guy like a Jimbo Fisher who just got fired and they have to pay him almost $78 million. So out of all 119, 120 Division I teams, all them teams can afford a radio system where, hey, we communicating via headsets. We're not doing this. We're not, and that's the thing. And I know that's besides the point, but I think that's one of the things where going forward there could be something where that's something that needs to be done. But
you know what?
The infraction in itself.
I could have swore there was some accusations that there were some teams giving information about Colorado early this season. And I think they asked Deion, and Deion laughed. He said, what did he say? He said something. He said, if that's what they want to do, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? That we still gonna keep moving forward. They still gotta play us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it almost make me feel like nobody really said anything there. Like behind the scenes, this is something they got to do. Even the guy they said that it was Harbaugh's friend or whoever had done it. He was on the
Jay Carter.
sidelines. He was
Yeah.
on like he wasn't in the stands. He was on the sidelines. So anyway, I was
Yeah, the thing about it, like this whole intricate plan that quote unquote that they had, where the Stallings guy went to other teams, and like they showed him like at Central Michigan, on the sidelines. But a part of me, they claim that they have some evidence as far as when it comes to like this somewhat of a paper trail for Stallings as far as him going these places. Like as far as there's a trail, a paper trail of him traveling and going to games and this and third. But I mean, I don't, it's kind of one of those things where I can see the Big Ten having the Big Ten commissioner having egg on his face after this, because I think this is going to be something that I think is going to really uncover a lot, because quiet is kept. I think Michigan by far, I think they definitely, they got a legitimate shot to win in that championship, like literally have a legitimate shot. I mean, you just look at it just from the standpoint of just what they've done. And I think when you really sit down and think about it, they really have been the most consistent team, kind of, I would say fall under the radar, but they've been the most consistent this season. So it's like, it's really interesting of how it's all going to play out. I know they taking it to court on Friday. So that's another thing. The timing of it all was weird. You announced this on a Friday, and Friday was a holiday. So you announced it on a Friday, holiday, and the fact that you did this while Jim Harbaugh was on a plane to Pennsylvania to play Penn State. So they didn't get word of this until they landed into Pennsylvania. So, and then for him not to get a court injunction as far as getting like a temporary restraining order for this case, he couldn't do it because the courthouse was closed on Friday, because obviously Friday was a holiday.
right.
So I just thought that was really odd, like just the timing of it on a Friday, and then it being a holiday as well. So all of it to me it's just weird. It's just it's strange, but at the time will tell. It's gonna be really interesting how this all gonna play out. I'm really curious because they're claiming that if everything stands, that the suspension will continue, which I just found it rather odd that they stopped at 3, because they could have just said, hey, you're suspended for the rest of the year, not the regular season, but for the year. So that would include the Big Ten championship. If you make it to the college football playoff, we're talking about the 2 games in the CFP potentially, and then a bowl game. If they, if they didn't make it to the college football playoff, they would play in a bowl game. So, yeah, I'm telling you, Pandora's box about to open up, and it might get a little ugly. It might get a little ugly in here, but yeah, man, Jim, yeah,
Right.
We shall see.
I don't know, man. It like they said what I watched today. They said there's some questions because Michigan almost went undefeated, right?
Oh, they're undefeated now. Yeah, they're undefeated.
Undefeated, right? So he was like, the guy was like, it's funny they couldn't win hardly anything. He said, then all of a sudden now they winning. They got a better. They couldn't really recruit nobody. He was crazy. He said, and then everybody was like, but they said they got a bunch of NFL scouts and coaches, what I'm saying, on the staff that helped out. But that's all alleged. That's just something I saw today.
Yeah.
But I think the thing of it is it looks bad now, but if it was the norm and we knew it was the norm, nobody would care. Like, for instance, at one time, if somebody made long distance phone calls on your phone, you got upset. Now there's no long distance phone calls. You know what I'm saying? Rates.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So like,
yeah,
if they said where everybody does it, and they're like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's no thing, but it's like they put this illusion out based upon that's nobody's doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When most likely it sounds like to me everybody is something that everybody most likely has done or is doing.
It's a classic case of everybody going over the speed limit on the highway.
Right.
And Michigan is a red Corvette.
Right.
Essentially, that's what this really ultimately boils down to. But if you want to break it down, a Cliff Notes version of what this is that perfect example. You know, Michigan is a red Corvette on 64, essentially.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's definitely gonna be interesting in these next couple of weeks. I know they go to court on Friday to kind of appeal the situation. So Friday's gonna be a rather interesting day to see the future of Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines. But I'm at a point now, regardless. This team fired up. They're at a point where I think this has galvanized them, in my personal opinion. It's like, you know, that tough win in Penn State. You just look at just like the interim head coach. He, you know, was emotional on the sidelines after the game. I'm like, dude, like, I feel bad for Maryland this week. They're gonna take it out on them, and then potentially Ohio State next Saturday. But I'm telling you, man, yeah, they have galvanized and was like they ready to roll. So they're a dangerous team at this point. So we gotta talk about Lane Kiffin. So obviously we know Lane Kiffin from his days with the Raiders. Gosh, his days at Tennessee.
I forgot about that.
Persona non grata when he left in the middle of the night at Tennessee and took his talents to USC, and then obviously USC goes to USC, gets fired, pretty much couldn't even get on the bus and got fired. Now he's at Ole Miss. He's doing this thing. So I kind of set it up before we hear the actual leaked audio. So Lane Kiffin, it had one of his former players by the name of DeSanto Rollins. Essentially was going through a mental health issue in a sense where he had to take some time away from the team. So once DeSanto Rollins talked with Lane Kiffin, this is pretty much how the conversation went. And what we're going to do, we're going to play that leaked audio. And once again, it's another video, fair use. So we're going to get that squared away. Oh, hold on. Oh, shit.
You would have come here when you kept getting messages, the head coach wants to talk to you, and you saying, I'm not ready to talk to him.
What was it?
Well, what world do you live in?
I don't see why you gotta be disrespectful, honestly.
Get out. Well, you're off the team. You're done. See ya.
Because I'm
See ya. Go. And guess what? We can kick you off the team. So go read your rights about mental health. We can kick you off the team for not showing up. When the head coach has to meet with you and you don't show up for weeks, okay, we can remove you from the team. It's called being it's called hiding behind and not showing up to work.
All right, so let's talk about Lane Kiffin and mental illness, and let's take a stab at this. So, Mal, your thoughts on it?
This is a trip, man, because they dismissed he's trying to sue him for 40 million, right? And they got dismissed.
Yeah, I think it was like
right?
40 million. Yeah.
And they got dismissed. Right?
I don't know if he did. Okay, I'm not sure how the case
Okay.
got dismissed or not. Yeah.
Okay. One thing I watched, they said that they moved forward with it. Another one I watched said they got dismissed. But it's weird because you have people that's talking about it that do not have mental illness. For some reason, mental illness has gotten extremely popular right now because a lot of people had it and didn't know that they had it. So now it's like, so even if you listen to the young man, even everything that he's doing, he has some type of mental illness. It's clearly they recruited him from something. They said he got he tore his Achilles, and then they changed his position, so it must have bothered him, and it broke him down in some type of way. So all of this, I don't know why you sitting there thinking that all of this stuff is not. I'm not. Most of the time, when people have mental illness, they play victim, and then they make these decisions that are not rational. So everything that he's necessarily doing is a part of the mental illness. If anything, go talk to the therapist. And no offense, you coaches, you either can deal with it, you're not going to deal with it. If you feel like you don't want to deal with nobody with mental illness, then that's something you're going to have to put on and say that you don't want to deal with, but you got to deal with it. And it's going to make, regardless, I hear people speaking up like, oh, I had coaches say worse. But this ain't those times no more, man. This is 2023. And then they was talking about money, and I ain't got nothing to do with that. You're going to have to approach these kids a little differently, because what if he'd came in there and said, you don't have to be so disrespectful, and you talking to him that certain way, and then he pulled a pistol out and would have shot you? Like, you don't know, because you don't have mental illness, so you cannot judge or speak on somebody that has it. Because even if they seem like they're being manipulative, even though he did the court case, even though he's doing all these things, that's still a part of the chemical imbalance and the mental illness. You know what I mean? Now, and it seemed like to me there's still some other stuff in there that's not, because I was like, why would he, off top, I'm like, why would he record it? You know what I'm saying? Which makes it look real funny. But then you start, if you look at it, okay, from another perspective, like maybe some other stuff is going on, and maybe that's why he recorded it. You know what I mean? Because that's still a toss up for me. But then when I think when they asked him, when they was changing position, he was redshirted, and he said, "Is this a negotiation or is that's final thought or something like that?" And they said something. He was like, "Okay," and then that's when he said, "I want to take a mental illness break," and disappeared, which he might have went to go get his case together. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying. I was thinking about it, but all of that, coach, from the bottom of my heart, all those decisions, even if manipulative, it's all part of mental illness. People. It's all part of it, because you're making decisions that's irrational, that you think you're doing the right thing, but it's not right.
Yeah, it's tough. So I'm gonna cover from a couple angles. So I think the Lane Kiffin angle, I definitely think his delivery wasn't quite the best.
Right.
I think there could have been a better way for him to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But in that same token, I still think, in my opinion, that DeSanto Rollins should have reached out to him in a proper time, because I think people fail to realize too, because of that, it's like if anything, like, because even though they're playing college football, it is still almost like a job, like, in a sense where you report to someone and you have to keep them abreast of what's going on. And I think that's where I look at Lane Kiffin was right in that regard, but the delivery wasn't the best. So I get where he comes from as far as, hey, I need for you to reach out, and it's not not guarantee you it may not have been like something that like he could have might just could have texted Lane Kiffin. I think that could have been potentially acceptable, in my personal opinion. That's my thought on it. But I think with the mental illness thing, I think that's one thing I think a lot of people are still trying to learn, in a sense, because I think, and I think the best example, because like you think about it, especially from a Lane Kiffin, because Lane Kiffin is like 48, so he's like a Gen X. So it's kind of one of those where you look at now how the generation are. You got the Gen X, which I think they really didn't, this is due for a lot of Gen Xers. You got millennials who you look at the maybe like the early millennials, like kids, got people were born like in the 80s, early 80s, got like a tail end of it, but compared to maybe like the bottom part of the millennials, you're looking at like the 25, 26-year-olds that are currently well, I think millennials probably like 26, 27, give or take. Then you look at now the Gen Z, where that's something that's almost like a norm. So the thing with mental illness, it's something. It's the tricky thing about mental illness is it's not like being have a physical ailment. Like, hey,
Right.
I can see you on the surface. Okay, something was going on with your legs because you obviously you're walking with a limp, or
Right.
you're laboring. Something is physically wrong with you because obviously your movements are laboring. But mental illness is something that you cannot see on the surface, because you can have a conversation with somebody that's cute. They can be laughing, joking, and playing, but in the same token, they're going through something mentally, potentially. So that's one thing you can't really, in a sense, self-diagnose, in a sense, okay, I can look at this person, oh yeah, this person has mental illness. No. I mean, there's a lot of people who will walk around and have it, but don't show the signs as if like something was wrong with their leg
Right.
or their arm or anything. So
Right.
it's something that I think it's something that it's gonna progress.
Right.
And I think that's one thing where
I'm sorry, I was waiting for you to get finished, man. But I was remembering, I was listening. I really listened to it, right? Because what I did was I watched a bunch of people speak on it, and then and know it was weird because it was a lot of certain type of people that was on Lane Kiffin's side, and what they're doing is going based upon how they grew up, and you can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't. You know what I'm saying? And then since I was telling somebody, I said the world is changing, but it's also, we got the beginning of the change and we got the end of the old. And I said it's very sensitive right here. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful, man. There's so many school shootings. You got to be careful. You remember Sunset Park? Remember Terrence Howard? He had those braids, right? And he came and he went and told his coach, such and such is making fun of my hair, and he came with a machete. You don't know that. Like, this dude has been missing.
Yeah.
So first off, you shouldn't get upset. He said he had mental illness, so it's some other stuff going on, B. I'm telling you, I could just see, I could tell by the tone. It's like maybe the young man's communication is not good. Maybe they can't get in his head so he can express himself better. You know what I'm saying? Because they seem frustrated and they trying to figure out a way to motivate him. You know what I mean? And they can't get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I think, like we said, there's gonna have to be a process. So it's gonna be a gradual, where from a Gen X perspective, a lot of people just don't look at mental illness because they don't see it on the surface,
right?
Compared to a Gen Z or
right.
It is what it is. I think it's just this could be a matter of time, but I think it's a situation where if Lane Kiffin, if he did not know, because obviously he was ignorant to him not knowing that he was being recorded. So obviously just because this was leaked audio. Right. But I guarantee you, if it was a situation, I don't know. I mean, I like I said, the delivery I didn't like, but he's right. Yeah. He's right as far as demanding some sort of communication because because the thing about it, because whenever he transitions to a corporate job or whatever, he's going to have that same type of, he's going to have to reach out to somebody to let them know what's going on with him, or at least have someone, it may not be him. It could be somebody that can reach out and be his buffer to Coach Kiffin. So, yeah, that's my thought on it. But, mental illness is real.
Like,
mental illness is real.
When I think of learning from my personal situation around me is everybody's not the same. Like, people say, man, you got to use common sense. You can't say that no more. You can't say that no more because it ain't common. Sense ain't common. And everybody do things. There's some people, man, they be smart as hell, can make money, but they cannot figure out how to fold a shirt or some pants or sweep a floor. It is so frustrating for them. Yep. And you can teach them though, but you gotta be able to teach them right. You got to be patient. You got to understand. And Lane Kiffin getting paid a lot of money. No offense. Yeah, he a coach, but he ain't an NFL coach. And so you got to understand, you still got to be a mediator or a moderator in certain things. You gotta understand that. You know what I mean? Like, understand. And like you said, the delivery was bad, and he probably gonna learn from it. You know what I'm saying? But
he will. Yeah, and this is it's new. It's new territory. I mean,
Yeah, it's
that's
new
one thing
territory.
where
Yeah.
we can't. That's one like I'm not gonna be the one. That, oh well, let's cancel Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
No,
I'm not
he
saying
gonna
that
have to
either.
learn. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's the thing where you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids, so it's kind of one of those where things are like you said, the NFL is a little bit different. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
but you still can deal with some mental health issues in
Yeah,
the
definitely.
league. But now I think I don't know, but I think it's more because of just the fact of most of these guys are that this is their first time being away from home.
Mm-hmm.
There's challenges with deaths. It's like they're really
Mm-hmm.
first kind of I call it dipping their toes in adulthood at that point. So I don't yeah, and I mean, it is what it is. And I think, he will learn as time progresses. And I think all coaches will learn as time progresses. And this is something that now is at the forefront. I think, you look at because I think, we think of mental illness back then. It's just like, okay, well, hey, I'm just going through something. It is what it is. But now I think people are now more in tune with their feelings, with their emotions, and understanding, hey, everything ain't all right. It's
Right.
okay not to be okay. And I
Right.
think that's the thing about with mental illness. And I'm glad that is happening because I think, it's going to help a lot of people out knowing that, hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's not like, your feelings and what you're going through isn't in vain in the sense, hey, there's going to be, obviously now with everything's going on with resources to help you out a lot bit more now compared to then, and the perception, because you know how,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, people, wow, why you say you should be happy? You should do.
Right.
You got all this stuff you're doing. All this.
Right.
Them days are over with. Where
Right.
okay, that's done with. But now now it's a point where hey, it's it's okay not to be okay, and
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. And I
I
think
heard a
I'm just glad
dude
it
speak
is
speak
like
about
that.
this, bro. I heard a dude speak about it
Yeah.
today, B, and he was just like, "Man, it's one of the best towns. They get paid this. They got the best place to eat. Is He was just, and I
I
get it.
mean,
It's great
yeah.
for you, bro. That's great for you.
Right, but not for him. Right. That's why that's why like people be like, I'll give you an example. Like I remember when Junior Seau passed away.
Right.
Everybody's like, he's all these guys, people, like, oh, they got money, they got this, that, and the third, and why this, why they do what they had to do and the same thing because they were going through something, and probably what they thought was, hey, that perception of how everybody, like, well, like you said, oh, you're in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's one of the
Right.
beautiful places on earth.
Right.
Yes, but that doesn't negate the fact that I'm sad. Like
Right.
that, looking at, I mean, yeah, you know, seeing the crisp mountains in the day may help some people, but sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna help the others. So yeah, like you said, the perception is always,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I think putting the art. It's a trip though. What if we
Yeah.
find out that he ain't the one that leaked it, and somebody else did?
Now that would be interesting.
That would be interesting. Wouldn't
But then
it?
it's like, well, who would else be in that room?
Right.
That's
Right.
the thing about it. Like, I mean, because in that case, that person would have been my buffer to Coach Kiffin, honestly.
Right.
Because if I didn't communicate with Coach Kiffin for weeks, I
Has he
would have
done
had
a
this
press
person
conference?
reach out to him.
Has he done a press conference about it?
I don't think I don't know if they. I know he had a press conference after they lost to Georgia, but I don't know if
Right.
they
So,
discussed. I know I don't recall. They might have brought it up, but I don't recall what he said.
so even though he said all that, the young man is still under scholarship. He ain't kicked out of school either.
I mean, because he, even though he said that, because that I know he's not on the team anymore, for sure. He ain't on the football team no more because I know they said former,
Right.
Ole Miss. Oh, yeah, Ole Miss. But yeah, I mean, like you said, he could be happy and what Oxford, Mississippi. This and third, but it is what it is. But so let's switch the focus to our game of the game to watch this weekend, and our segment is powered by SeatGeek. Head over to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code CouchCoach. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase using SeatGeek. So we'll talk about our games of the week, and if you got some games to watch this weekend that you actually want to go instead of you want to watch it live, just head over to SeatGeek. Use that promo code CouchCoach. So, what are your games to watch this weekend?
I got a few, man, but the main one for me would be the Browns versus Steelers, of course. But I got the Eagles versus the Chiefs, the Vikings versus the Broncos, which I think is going to be with the Broncos winning and the Vikings coming together. I think that's going to be good. And I got definitely the Giants versus the Commanders, and the dark horse I got the Titans versus the Jags.
Yeah, I think my first one's gonna be in the college. I definitely think you look at Washington on the road against Oregon State. You look at the quarterback matchup, Michael Penix Jr. And then also I got DJ, the former Clemson quarterback. He's doing his thing at Oregon State. They're left in the country. This is probably the last Pac-12 game in a sense that's going to be legitimate in the sense because obviously the league is gonna pretty much gonna scatter next year. You look at Washington now; they're outside of the college football playoff. They're fifth, so getting a win over Oregon State, I don't know if that's gonna propel them going into Thanksgiving week in that top 4 slot, but I think they can make the case, especially considering the fact if they can get a top 11 win on the road. So that's going to be really interesting how that's going to play out. So I look at that. And then also, I think obviously the marquee matchup in the NFL next week, the Kelsey brothers. You're looking at so many good matchups in that Eagles versus Chiefs. Monday Night Football, that's a Super Bowl rematch. So you're looking at, obviously Travis and Jason Kelsey. Obviously they don't face each other because obviously they both want offense for their respective teams. You got that. You look at Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Taylor Swift. So you got a lot going on in this matchup, and it's perfect for a Monday Night Football game. We finally, even though last week we had a great Monday Night Football game on Monday, but I think this one's gonna live up to the bill. I think this is gonna be a good one. Especially, I think you're looking at it, the 2 top teams. I think the Eagles are 8-1, the Chiefs 7-2. So it's gonna be a good game for sure.
Word, me too. I think so too. There's a lot of good games though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, just to narrow it down. And I ain't even touched college basketball. There's some matchups. College basketball this weekend, so
I got to get used to my brother's schedule too, man. I was like,
yeah, I know, man.
Game today,
I know that's one thing with basketball because at least with the football, you're like, okay,
right?
We either playing Thursday, Sunday, or Monday, and it's just like basketball season. It's like, oh yeah, they got a game today. Oh, they got a game today. Oh, but yeah, man. It's a gauntlet, but it's fun though. So
right.
We're gonna do our pick 7. So we'll do our 7 picks for this weekend. So we go off first. We got our Thursday night matchup. This is gonna be a very, very interesting game. This could be a ender for maybe Cincinnati, especially when you got the other teams in the North doing their thing. We got Joe Burrow going to the Avenue on a Thursday night at the bank. Who you got?
I'm going with the Ravens, man. I think that loss really hurt them.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Well, no, not yeah. If they lose, it make my team they'd be number 1 in the division. But I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, man. So they gotta get together, man.
And Cincinnati, they cannot afford to lose this football game. If this is going to be a game that they got to win, and I think they're like 0-2 or 0-3 in divisions, and they're 5-4. Like, if this could be the week, you gotta pick it up. But and they my AFC winner, so I'm gonna go with the Bengals. I think they're gonna take the road upset.
Of course you are.
So yeah, I got to do that because I got to stay put with my pick.
Right.
All right, so we got college football, a little bit sandwiched in between our pro picks. We got number 22 Utah versus number 17 Arizona. Who you got?
I got Arizona.
Yeah, I got Arizona as well. Number 5 Washington at number 11 Oregon State. What you got?
Washington.
All right, give me Oregon State. I need I need some chaos in these college football playoff rankings. So I think that'd be somewhat the first domino, and RIP to the Pac-12 if this happens. So, all right, so we got a Big 12 matchup. Number 21 Kansas State versus number 25 Kansas. Who you got?
Kansas State.
Me too. Give me the fight, Miguel Powell's. Give me Kansas State. All right. Give me wait, and then we got some NFL to round out our picks. The Jets at the Bills. Who you got?
I got the Bills.
Yeah, I think the Bills gonna bounce back because even though both of these two teams had some terrible loss, obviously the Monday Night Football game with the Bills, and then the Jets losing and on Sunday Night Football, crazy fashion, but it is what it is.
Right.
But I got the Bills. The Raiders and the Dolphins. Who you got?
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna go Raiders. I'm gonna go Raiders because I think it should be the Dolphins, but I think they hadn't really played this Raiders yet.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins gonna win. The Dolphins take care of business. And then to round out our pick 7, we got the Kelsey Bowl. We got the Kelsey Bowl and the Swift Bowl.
Eagles.
Chiefs.
Ah!
Yeah, I think the Chiefs gonna win. I think they're gonna take care of business, and I think this is gonna be kind of where Philly kind of I won't say they're gonna take a slide, but they'll potentially lose this game, but for sure. So before we head on out, what's our your game ball and final thoughts? Well, first your game ball first. Who's your game ball this week?
I'm giving the game ball to Coach 22 and 23 season NBA championship head coach Mike Malone for getting his 2-year contract extension. Out of 7, he's been a head coach for the Sacramento Kings and for 2 years, and the Denver Nuggets for 9. Out of 754 games, he's had 415 wins and 339 losses. In 2020, he went to the Western Conference Finals, but he's now, by winning that championship, he is actually one of the highest paid head coaches in the NBA. Congratulations, Coach.
Well deserved. Man, I gotta go to Coach Antonio Pierce of the Las Vegas Raiders. 2-0. Great start. His press conferences are amazing. Like he's just one of those where I'm really, really excited. And I hope he can definitely at least get at least his interim tag can potentially be removed in 2024. I love what he's doing there, and you could tell he has that Al Davis spirit in him, and I think I love it. And he's doing his thing.
I really believe it's certain style of coaches are about to leave. These players are an investment, and they want certain things, and I think certain type of coaches is on the way out the door.
Yeah, but hopefully Antonio Pierce is here to stay. I definitely hope he will be the new head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. Mark Davis, if you want to do something smart, you keep Antonio Pierce. You keep him. But yeah, so final thoughts tonight before we head on out.
Man, great show. It really is, man. Great show. It just seemed like, hey, man, it's like I think everything that's going on is just there are a lot of changes going on because a lot of things are ending and a lot of things are beginning. So it's kind of like got everybody on a loop-de-loop. But hey, man, great show.
Yeah, man. Another great show. Normal format this time. Obviously, I know the last 2 weeks has been hectic with high school football and all that. So we had to get that squared away, and now back in this frame. So yeah, man, another great show lined up. Social media, and then now we'll do final thoughts on social media as well.
Sean Morgan, Facebook, DT Morgan 78, Instagram. Like I said, great show, man. Felt like our chemistry really picked up a notch. We was on the same wavelength with a lot of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah. So pretty much for the podcast, pretty much Apple, Spotify, Couch Coach Live. You can check it out there. Check out the website, couchcoachlive.com. Social media, Facebook, X, all that. Couch Coach Live, TikTok, Couch Coach Live. Also, check out the game recaps from VCU basketball for the last couple of weeks we've been doing. So check that out. You just go to Couch Coach Live / VCU Rams. Also, YouTube, Couch Coach Live. Also, check out the post game recaps as well there as well, where we post game interviews with coaches and players for VCU. So there as well. And one other final thing before we head on out tonight. Only a few hours away. Happy birthday. It's that time.
Yeah,
it's that time. So yeah.
Right. I'm about to get off in a minute and probably go have me a couple tequila shots.
Yeah, man. Hey, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? You know? So
appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So man, this wraps up this week's Couch Coach Live. We'll catch you guys next week, and we're out.